Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. The one and only J to the V. What do you know about me?
What you know about he?
Coming out with a P.
P.
Pushing me.
Me.
A to the Z.
Pushing P.
1, 2, 3.
A to the B. A to the D to the E. It's me. Inside, outside, outside, inside, around town. One in the pink and one in the brown. All around town in your ear when you head to your crown. To the ground, to the head top. To the head top, to the back top. I'm on top and they know I'm here. The man with a plan, I'm man with a plan. I'm stand with a clan, I'm dear. I'm the dearest. Me, I'm delirious. The most delirious. Me, I'm the scariest, most delirious. And the gregarious, son of a serious. So damn Hercurious, son of a freestyling up at the top of my dome. And it's 39 episodes in. TCET.
This
Could
and
terribly. Episode 39.
Ain't it fine?
It's about time. Fall in line. Inside and outside intestines.
That's
bruv.
part that, yeah.
Bruv, I got it.
It's just freestyle mode today.
You thought I was about to fall off, but I never fall off. I never fall off. I never fall off. Me I fall on. Me I fall out. Me I fall in. Me I fall down. Me I fall in. We gotta stop that.
We're gonna have to record something tonight.
Yeah. This Kid and Terribly, episode 39. You are here with man like A to the B-I, A to the D-E, that's me. And man like J to the V.
Hello.
Garage voice is very addictive.
Yeah, it's very fun.
Yeah.
You're not like walking around doing it in public.
Yeah.
But like, Steve, what's going on?
Gary, how's your day?
Have you got that report for me?
Put it in my in tray.
PDF, because Excel don't work.
Your JPEGs are dead, fam.
Don't send me a GIF, I'm not on my phone.
Shout out to our Apple Podcast listeners.
Yes.
Our Spotify listeners.
Yes.
Our very few Amazon Music listeners.
Yes.
Never checked the analytics once.
Nope.
Our SoundCloud hipster listeners.
Yes.
And last but not least,
Filth.
our YouTube
Nasty.
viewership.
Horrendous.
We gave you quite a few episodes recently. I hope you're not sick of us. We had to offer our opinion on one of the most talked about spectacles on TV history. But we hope you enjoyed that Sunday special.
Yes.
It had to come out. Shout out all the people we called in.
Amen. Thank you very much.
They made it very, very fun. And we're going to talk about the next episode 40, which is a very special one towards the end of the episode, because we've got something coming for you guys, which is equally as special. But without further ado, Johnny Vivas, how are you?
I'm all right, you know. I'm all right. I'm coming into the home stretch of holiday body preparation. The workout schedule was hindered by two things. One, by my eyebrows having to be done.
Yeah.
Looking
lovely, by
Thank
the
you
way.
very much.
Yeah,
Karen Betts, number 1 Harley Street. I will always shout her out.
Done now.
Another thing was I hit a bad fried chicken stretch.
Oh.
Yeah, I did. Not only was I not exercising, I was like, I can have one box of wings.
Yeah. Harmless.
Then I was like, do you know what? I've been working quite hard over the last few months. I can have a second box of wings.
Double back.
Yeah, and then it turned into like a 3-piece, chips, extra Naga wings.
That's hella oily.
Yeah. There was a lot of processed fats, and that has impacted me. So my first day back at the gym on the ab routine, I could feel the difference.
I mean, I feel like you're not taking your thirst trap responsibilities very seriously a few days away from the trip. How do you feel about that?
It's a fair accusation. In my defense, I've been making up for lost time. I've gone almost every day this week.
Okay.
I played 2 games of football.
Okay.
In the same evening last week. I still can't walk. I often forget I'm approaching 30.
Was Wingate before or after the football matches though? Because people...
Before.
Okay, cool.
So
you know them people who were like, I went to the gym 5 times this week.
Yeah.
At the end of every session, I hit up Baskin and Robbins.
Yeah, no, that's stupid.
For a full box.
You deserve to be fat.
Yeah, no.
I got no sympathy for you.
Yeah.
I do hit a burrito every time, but that's protein.
Burrito?
But you fart it out, so it doesn't really count.
Not even a naked burrito, just
No.
Yeah, okay.
No. I'm not a virgin anymore.
All right.
So I'm looking. So basically, by the time this comes out, I will be in the final stretch of thought preparations. You're going to be seeing content from Brazil, content do Carnival.
To be fair, I worry about this because last time you were on holiday, you were fucking obnoxious with the pictures.
Yeah.
Is it going to be similar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, look, manage our expectations.
Yeah, I've not only am I now practiced, I'm going into the event with the Instagram Pro account, and on top of going to Rio, we've also got 5 days in Buenos Aires. So the content in Rio should be fairly wholesome.
Okay,
beaches, a bit of cocktail action, not too fancy.
Wholesome.
The content that we're going to be seeing in Buenos Aires is largely going to be steaks, nice glasses of red wine,
A lot of meat.
a lot of meat.
Pause.
And a lot of other high life enjoyment activities.
I'm hella jealous.
Yeah, I mean, unfollow now, and then come back when I get home.
I'm not gonna mute you.
No?
I don't think you do. You post a lot when you go on holiday.
I do.
It's very obnoxious.
I do.
It's not mute worthy.
I think it's good content, and actually the feedback I've had on the content, beyond people thinking I'm a prick, which I'm quite used to, is that the content itself is of reasonable value. So get ready for it. There's a deluge. There's a deluge of content.
Just
coming.
don't upload the same videos and pictures twice. And on the subject of videos, maybe you're not aware that Instagram are actually trying to discourage us from doing pictures, and they want us to do more video stuff.
Yeah.
So
Reels.
with that in mind, please, I beg do not do a reel, because I will unfollow you.
Yeah, no, I'm going to do reels. I'm going to do reels of me pouring caipirinhas on Ipanema Beach while you're all in the office.
Caipirinhas? Is that how? Isn't it caipirinhas?
Caipirinha.
You just said caipirinhas.
I was trying to anglicize it.
Bruv, you're such a geezer.
I can't help it. How have you been?
I've been all right, man. I'm absolutely knackered. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
So since the last episode, I spent a few days in Warsaw on a business trip, and then I came back, didn't have much time to recover, and then I found myself on my way to Tbilisi in Georgia. Tbilisi, by the way, listeners.
Oh.
In Georgia. The Republic of Georgia, not all the people who were like, "Oh, you're in ATL." No.
You're getting invited to
The
hood
Republic,
parties.
in the Caucasus, post-Soviet Georgia, yeah?
Yes.
It's very fucking lit.
Oh, yeah?
It's lit, bruv.
What do you mean lit?
It's like, it's so like cool. It's very much got its own identity, and I won't go into the whole history of it all, but they're one of the main post-Soviet countries who were kind of just like, nah, F Russia, we're not on it. Speak to us in Georgian, please. If you speak to us in Russian, we're going to look at you a little bit different, not really feeling you. So, it's got its own little vibe, and clearly there's a bit of a mix. And the one thing I will say about Georgia is that, like, when you're driving through, it probably will remind you of about 5 or 6 different countries that you've been to in one. So you're driving through, and some of it looks like, I don't know, like southern Portugal. Some of it looks like slumland Abuja. Some of it looks like very European, like Italy.
Okay.
And some of it is just like Shoreditch. You know what I mean? So it's so lit. Georgian wine, you know me, I'm not a wine guy.
Yeah.
Georgian wine is fuego.
Oh, for real?
I bought 2 bottles back. To get involved in
I
that.
didn't even know they did wine like that.
Yeah, they do.
The main thing I know about Georgia is Kakakaladze.
Yeah, so they do all of that.
Shout out my OG Milan heads.
Yeah, so the food is a problem. I could never live there because man will just be rotund out here, yeah?
Okay.
But the wine and the food is an experience. The hospitality of the Georgian people is just top notch. They're just super, genuinely nice people. Maybe it's because they're used to like so much tourism. It's like a country of like 4 million people, and I think they get double the amount of tourists.
Yes, it's
every
the
year.
festival hotspot. It's the go-to place for cool festivals.
Yeah, when you said that, I didn't get what you meant, but like it's fire. But one thing I will say about Georgia that will definitely have me returning.
Okay.
They have this fashion trend. I think it can only be called a fashion trend where Georgian people, for the most part, they're quite dark features, like dark hair, dark eyes, etc. But the women, let me clear my throat for this one. They are now, for some reason, all following a trend which involves them dyeing their hair very, very ginger.
Oh, goodness.
So for a man like me,
yes, with a Jess Phillips fetish,
plentiful drooling.
A land of abundance.
It was fantastical.
That is so haram.
It was just fantastic.
He's saying just Misties walking around everywhere.
Just wonderful, honestly. So yeah, shout out my Georgian people. You kind of did me in the off duty when I paid £10 for a bar of white chocolate, which is awful. But that was kind of my fault. But yeah, Georgia, I recommend it. Get out there. You got to go through Istanbul, and that was very, very long, 4-hour layover, but it was very, very sick.
Did you get baklava?
No,
in the airport?
No, I didn't do all of that.
I love baklava.
I didn't do all that.
I feel like any food pistachio based is gonna bang.
The problem is, like, you get on these flights and then they're offering you food on 2 legs, right? So you get on the first leg and it's just like a full
Turkish meal
thing,
yeah.
and then you have a layover of like 4 hours in our case, and you get onto the next flight and it's like full wham meal again.
Oh snap!
So yeah, could easily,
what a hard life you live.
I know, could easily get out of control. But yeah, other than that, I've been good until of course, Eon, my energy provider, sent me an update. So you guys know that Martin Lewis, money saving expert,
treasurer of the Jewish community,
yes, told us all that we need to put in our meter readings at the end of March,
a day early,
to lock it in.
Yeah,
I wasn't in a rush because I found out that you could do it a few days after, but I did it after, and then I got an email a few days later saying, "You
done fucked up,
Mr. Biade.
Oh,
we are going to increase your bills.
Oh no."
We are going to increase your bills by 400 Great British pounds
a year
per month.
No,
Mazza.
no,
I'm still smarting.
It can't be £400 a month,
Fam.
It can't be £400
I actually
a
don't
month.
want to talk about it because I might cry in it. I've had a couple of whiskeys. But yeah, shout out to everybody who's had similar experiences. I'm pretty sure I might have to contest the thing, but that's what the automation has said.
Jesus.
I'm going out by 400 quid a month, which is which is pretty ball breaking. But other than that, Johnny, I think this is probably one of my most expansive responses to how are you doing, Rich?
Yeah, you've had a lot to get off your chest.
But there you have it.
I'm glad that you've processed all that you've been through in the last week and the last 5 minutes.
Yeah. Read something yesterday on the flight back.
Okay.
And this is a shout out to you guys, whose ears I'm easing these sultry tones into.
Oh God.
There was an article that came out, and it's a celebration of you guys, actually. It's an article that came out yesterday that said, people who listen to podcasts are more likely to be intellectually curious, more open to experience, and less neurotic on average than non-listeners.
Okay.
Researchers surveyed 306 people from more than 10 countries. 10 countries, we're in about 35.
Yeah, come
on their podcast listening habits, comparing their listening habits with measures of personality. They found that those who reported listening to a podcast scored highly for openness, interest-based curiosity, and need for cognition. Podcast listeners were also likely to score, or less likely to score, highly for neuroticism. Look, to our listeners.
Shout out to you. But that also makes total sense because I don't listen to podcasts. So all of those things, they resonate.
I learned a new word in the midst of this article as well. It said, of podcast listeners, those who scored highly on the trait of agreeableness were more likely to report forming parasocial relationships with their favorite podcast hosts. Parasocial. Now that means parasocial relationships are associated with listening for longer and longer periods to podcasts, to the point where you feel like the host is a friend.
Oh, that makes sense. So I hear that.
Pick up all the people.
Yes.
Who have parasocial relationships with us.
Well, they are family.
I can promise you, if you meet us, it goes downhill.
Yes.
Especially Johnny.
Yeah.
It's been a busy week.
There's a whole smorgasbord of fuckery this week whilst you've been away. Country falls apart when you're not around, Rich.
Yeah, exactly. I guess the elephant in the room is that we don't have a guest today. A couple of people out there on these streets saying that we couldn't do this, but we showed you in a short little smidgen last week that we could. But we're going deep in a full episode for you bad boys.
As they say on the streets, we're doing it again.
We're doing it again. They tried to stop me and I'm doing it again.
Yes.
We've got a few things going on this week. Johnny, where do we want to start? We've got Rishi, we've got Amazon, we've got Ed Sheeran, we've got biological Boriss. Where do you want to start, bro? Where do you want to start?
I feel like the fuckery of Fishy Rishi is the most salacious chat.
So he's not Dishy Rishi anymore.
He's not
now.
Dishy Rishi anymore.
He's lost the dish. Now he's the fish.
Now he's the fish.
Hey.
This man's on a slippery slope. This is the story of Icarus that flew too close to the sun.
Swear down.
And the Tory party have sensed the threat and are taking him out before he ascends.
You think that's what it is?
But this is how briefing works, puppy.
Shit.
This is Welcome to Westminster. This is the Lion's Den. Did you not watch Game of Thrones?
Yeah, but mainly for the nakedness.
That's, yeah, Khaleesi is your Jess Phillips. That's...
Yeah. Same.
We've established that. Non-dom status. What is a non-dom? What is a non-dom? Funny how all the crises have gone from dom-related to non-dom related in the Tory party.
I like non-dom.
I like...
Why did that rattle you? Non-dom sounds lit, bro. Who wants dom?
Very, very good. Very, very good. Oh, fuck. Wow, choice word there as well. Yeah, I mean, if we're going to get fucked, I'd rather... Well, it was more fun being fucked. I should stop.
How are we going to move forward now? Every single time you say non-dom, I'm going to be like...
You just...
I'll try not to.
Yeah. One of us will grow up and start this segment off.
Not me.
The big dick that Rishi Sunak is...
Come on.
This is descending. This is why we have a guest.
Love it. Yeah, exactly.
To make us behave. Funnily enough, the whole non-dom law dates back to the French Revolution.
Okay.
And what it means is that you can declare yourself, even though you live here, as a non-domiciled resident, which means that you don't have to pay tax on worldwide earnings.
Yeah. And if you don't know what we're talking about, our Chancellor of the Exchequer,
yes,
Rishi Sunak,
the fellow who sets tax law,
has been in hot water this week for a couple of reasons. It started with what seemed to be a bit of a smear campaign against his very rich wife.
Very rich.
That has now caught on to his own indiscretions. Back to you.
So this all kind of like started unraveling a few weeks ago. The veneer of Icarus began to peel away when Rishi was asked on Sky News about his wife's dad's company, Infosys. If you were fucking around on LimeWire and Miniclip sometime around 2007,
guilty. You
know exactly what the antivirus thing run for say.
Don't know.
Uncle had not pulled out of Russia. He was still dommed up. And he was attracting heat that Rishi was really unable to answer in his characteristically suave way. His defense was that his wife is not an elected official and it's none of his business and he should be asked about things that he has an impact on.
Which seemed a fair response at the time, did it not?
It's loose. It's loose in the sense that he is part of a cabinet which holds collective responsibility. As a part of the cabinet, he has collective responsibility for the policies of the cabinet, which was in the process of sanctioning Russia.
Yeah, so
for his household to be profiting from business in Russia is unethical at best.
Exactly. So that was what I was going to say. Less illegal, just more unethical.
Sure.
For sure.
So that's where the veneer started to crumble. And then came the famous spring statement where really where the wings came off, the wax melted. And everyone started to see that the Tories are now just overtly fucking us. They used to kind of pretend to hide it in the shadows. And the spring statement really showed that they don't really care about opinion polls anymore. This week, with Rishi's poll ratings having collapsed to 0, he has been punished by the party that he failed to take control of when Boriss was in the midst of his Partygate scandal. Welcome to Westminster, puppy.
Man did a runner. He just disappeared.
This is how it runs.
Just went to the Cotswold and just chilled out.
This is the vengeance. This is the vengeance of a party or of Boris's inner circle who are deeply pissed off with him for not defending the Prime Minister. And now that they sense weakness in his poll ratings after the spring statement, they've gone on the attack. And so the story that came out on Thursday last week was about his wife declaring non-dom status, not paying tax on worldwide earnings, but more egregiously claiming that she was non-domiciled in this country. Total farce. She has multiple children here. She literally lives in number 10 Downing Street. Boriss and them swapped flats because Boriss wanted the bigger one in the Chancellery. She literally lives in number 10.
So number 11 is bigger than number 10. And
flat.
Boris was like,
I'm having it.
Flip reverse.
Yeah, I'm having it.
I bet.
I'm the king.
Of course.
Come get it.
I respect it.
So she literally lives in number 10 Downing Street, the most iconic address in the country. She claims not to be domiciled here. There were some bullshit excuses like her parents. So she tried to say that she couldn't be domiciled here because she has Indian citizenship and India doesn't allow dual nationality. Now, prima facie, that's a reasonable argument. There are plenty of countries that don't allow dual nationality, which is why she doesn't have a British passport. She doesn't need a British passport. There are plenty of people who have other passports who haven't fucking self-declared to be non-dom on their worldwide earnings, right? Yeah. It's all the more important when her worldwide earnings are in the context of hundreds of millions of pounds as a result of her shareholding in Infosys.
She sounds very attractive.
She's no Jess Phillips.
Okay. And I don't want to know.
So that was the first kind of line of defense, which was totally farcical. She has multiple children here. They have multiple properties in this country. She spends all of her time here. There was some bullshit line about, one day she's going to go back to look after her parents. Again, bullshit chat. And then the Tories
What's she going to do for them?
well, just throw cash at them when they're ready to die. I don't know.
The Infosys family, aren't they worth like 100 billion or something?
Something stupid. Uncle is so rich. I'm nervous slandering them on this independent podcast.
For real.
It's kind of techie, but I've had enough rum to wear it. And then the Tories decided to come out with the most woke defense of all time. That was actually quite good chat. They were like, I thought that we had moved past the era where a spouse was merely an extension of her husband's financial status.
Ooh.
It seems like Labour haven't got the memo. The Tories are the party of female financial empowerment.
Ooh.
It's great chat. It's actually good chat. It's actually good chat because it's
woke o'clock.
It's playing Labour at their own game in the same sense that we got when I said that Adele sparking controversy at the Brits was white women having to lay in the bed that they made.
Yeah.
Welcome to neoliberal Labour.
Don't know.
The first stray that Keir Starmer's going to catch on this episode.
Please.
So then that story was kind of fucked enough that this multi-millionaire was pretending that she doesn't live here to avoid paying tax to the country that her husband's the fucking Chancellor of, right? It was an obscenity to start with. And then on Friday, the story descended into what was possibly defensively a wife affair into very much Rishi's problem.
Yeah.
Very much Rishi's problem. As it turned out, Rishi has been a US green card holder.
Sounding hella Nigerian to me right now.
As was his wife.
Oh. What does that mean for the people? Break that down.
So to hold a US green card essentially means that you hold US residency.
And you have to have been there for...
Well, it just means, effectively it means two things. The first thing it effectively means is that you declare that the US is your forever home.
Yeah, but it's a rigorous application process.
It's extremely difficult to get that. But they studied there, and he was actually working in the US at one point. They met at university out there. You can understand the context of why they once had a green card, and that's fine. So beyond it means this is our forever home whilst being the Chancellor, more perniciously, what it means when you have a US green card is you pay tax on worldwide earnings. So, Swiri Pai married to the Chancellor of the fucking Exchequer, who sets tax policy and literally lives in number 10 Downing Street, was happy to pay tax on worldwide earnings to the US and not to Britain.
Johnny, what is the point of having the power if you do not abuse
if you cannot
the power?
Abuse it.
If you cannot use this power to accumulate more cash, then what is the point?
Horrendous. These people, this is what we've gone past covertly taking the piss. We're overtly taking the piss. So I saw this tweet, right? We talked in the last episode about the 1.25% rise in national income, national insurance, which everyone's feeling on top of the fucking energy bills, right? And said how many standard rate taxpayers need to pay the additional 1.25% national insurance increase to cover Rishi Sunak's wife's avoided tax?
Oh, maths.
Someone ran the numbers. Sunak's recent changes will cost the median household around £500 sterling. The rate on dividends is about 38% for high earners. 38% of 12 million is about £4.5 million. That means that 9,000 median households, bear in mind we said that the median wage in this country is 27 grand, 9,000 median households need to pay the recently announced extra taxes just to cover the wife's tax avoidance. 9,000 families are paying 500 quid so that she can dodge tax and then pay it to the US. It's unbelievable. But beyond that, beyond her indiscretion, right? You have to imagine, can you imagine being the US Secretary of State, right? Knowing that the Prime Minister of this country was born in New York, is a self-confessed friend of America, that the Chancellor of the Exchequer is hiding the fact that he has a US green card, and all the time they are actively encouraging private US companies to come and buy up our NHS with the invitation of the Conservative Party, who have this secret hanging over them. This has gone beyond just some moral tax issue. This is an issue of either national security or health security. There's it's obviously so fucked you can laugh about it, but it's also deeply concerning that these people are hiding a secret as regards residency of another country. He spent 6.5 years as an MP or something, 3 years as a staff in the Treasury when he was permanent secretary before he became Chancellor, and then a year and a half as the Chancellor of the Exchequer, whilst being a permanent resident of another country that he obviously wasn't fucking living in. So he's broken the law on that side as well.
So what does this mean for his future prospects? Because most people, I think even a lot of Labour voting people could see themselves potentially voting for the Tories if they knew that somebody like Rishi was at the fore as the Premier. What does this mean for him? Because you mentioned that this is man like mob ties Boriss, getting man to take his ops down. But what does it mean in terms of Rishi's future prospects? Because it would appear that he has dramatically fallen from grace, given he was the hero about town, given how he handled the furlough situation in the pandemic.
Beyond what it means for his career in the Conservative Party, which I'll get back to me, what it really means is that this is fundamentally a bloke who doesn't understand politics, right? And that's not necessarily a shock. The kid was born into an extremely rich family. Yep. He went to Winchester, who him and his wife have donated £100,000 to, whilst claiming not to live here, funnily enough. But then went to Oxford, got a job at Goldman Sachs, joined a hedge fund, and walked into the Conservative Party. Like, it's not a shock that a guy who's lived in privilege his entire life and was thrown into a safe seat did not have strong political antenna. The guy has totally misread the situation. And anyone who really wanted to be Prime Minister, with his backing during Partygate, would have knifed Boris. Right? And what this coordinated set of leaks, starting with the wife, then going for the kill with the green card, this means that the party have decided he's too much of a threat. He's too much of a threat to the current top of the incumbency. Boris can't have this guy running around as a Prime Minister and waiting. And that is why they've gone for the kill.
Why, though? I mean, I don't want to expand on this debate too much. It's a really good debate. But why are they worried about him being a Prime Minister and waiting? Boris, I think, is on record as saying he doesn't want to do this job forever. I think we're all under the understanding that Boris doesn't want to do the PM job forever. If anything, if you want to keep the Tories in power, Rishi probably is the type of figurehead you need, right? To appear sort of progressive, to appear like you're like you are appealing to more people. He's Asian. He's Asian, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
But you're going on the premise that progressiveness is what the Conservatives want to target. And it isn't necessarily
as
progressive.
As a face, progressive is a massive political.
But it's not.
The Tories have always been run by the old motherfuckers in the backbench.
Sure,
right?
sure. But the last time that the Tories went progressive, they nearly lost an election to Corbyn in 2017. Progressiveness actually doesn't get people voting for the Conservatives.
Shout out Teresa.
Shout out Teresa. Teresa.
Yeah.
What gets people voting for the Conservatives is a far right policy base, and Rishi was arguably too New Labour.
That's facts, actually.
Is far too close to being the comfort Tories that Cameron ran that lost Brexit. What gets the Tories votes is nationalism. And we've had this discussion before. Elections in the postmodern era are not won in the centre. They're won by who has the most energetic fringe. And we've got the same argument. We've got the French election coming up this weekend. The results will be out by the time this episode comes. Macron is going to win one side, but really the delta is it Mélenchon or is it Le Pen? Which extreme left or right gets more people out to vote? And that's how these elections are won. So Sunak, I think, was too much of a threat to Boris. I don't necessarily think Boris is ready to walk yet.
Yeah.
And Rishi and his growing power base was an imminent threat. And actually, I kind of have no sympathy for the guy because politics is cutthroat and he didn't stick the knife in when he had a chance.
How the hell, by the way, and we'll finish on this, how the hell has Boris... I mean, we know it's Russia and Ukraine has helped him a great deal, but how the hell, more broadly speaking, has he managed to go under the radar and just avoid and duck all of this Partygate shit? He is still out here emboldened than ever.
Yeah.
How?
So 2 things. One, the Met have basically just run interference for him. Crested a dick, fell on the sword, finally, which created enough storm to push Partygate out. And now with this war going on and the cost of living crisis, there's plenty of other things to talk about beyond Partygate. I think it will come back, but the Met is basically finessing it. He's also been saved by the guy who I think will become the next Prime Minister. And I think I said this on the pod a few months ago. I definitely said it to my mum. But everyone was talking about Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss, and they were not the threat. Liz Truss is a moron. Rishi missed the boat. Ben Wallace, the bloke who's been the Defence Secretary, I think he's the real threat. And he's the one who's likely to take over.
Okay.
He's relatively ideologically aligned. He's done very well out of the war. His profile has grown enormously. He's extremely popular with the Conservative Party base. So he's one to keep an eye on.
You know when Rishi Sunak was on the news and was like, I'm an elected official, my wife is not an elected official, let's talk about something else. How do you think Jada Pinkett would have approved of his defense of his woman?
Well, she did actually. Did she come out and say that she'd rather Will hadn't slept? Like, is this for the
sake of my sanity?
Is this woman ever going to defend her husband?
This is the thing, yeah. For the sake of my sanity, I need to know that was not true. Because if Jada comes out after all of that shit and was like, nah, he shouldn't have done that.
Listen,
I swear, I will hunt her down myself.
It was on the shade bar, so it must be true.
True.
It must be true. It has to be facts.
Very, very good, very good. So we're going to move on to a topic which is very, very close to Johnny's heart.
Fuck yeah.
Everybody who's been listening to this podcast from maybe even like episode 1.
Probably episode 1.
When we were talking about like, fuck the Tories, join a union. Was that like episode 1?
It's either episode 1 or 2.
Was that Marcus Rashford chat? Episode 1, one of them.
Yeah.
We finally found a very meaty unionization story.
Fuck yeah.
In America, Staten Island, to be specific. Shout out Staten Island.
Shout out.
I've been there. My uncle and my cousins live there.
Come on.
So shout out. In an Amazon warehouse, history was made. It became the first facility in the US to unionize. A guy called Chris Smalls, who was a former worker at Amazon, who was actually fired because he started and led a walkout at the start of the pandemic to protest against working conditions at this warehouse.
Yeah.
Came together with a collection of people from the warehouse to run amok and cause quite the headache for our friends who offer next day delivery. Sometimes same day delivery. Have you ever done same day delivery?
Yeah, I have. It's kind of mad.
I'm not going to lie. That's when I feel like proper futuristic.
Yeah. It's
logistically, it's probably very, very simple. It probably got a warehouse very close to where I live.
There is one near me.
But even still, same day delivery on anything.
It does feel mad.
It's very trill.
It's quite dystopian. You should just go to the shop.
Yeah. Amazon obviously said that this guy was fired because he violated a company-imposed 14-day quarantine after he came into contact with somebody who tested
Which is
positive.
such a mad chat.
He says he was putting a lot of pressure on his employers to ensure that they had the right measures in place and to put more transparency on who were getting sick. And that, unfortunately, turned a couple of noses out of place. So he decided to go ham after he'd been fired when he found out that an internal meeting at Amazon, which included Jeff Bezos, was leaked by Vice News, where the company executives who had heard about what he was trying to do tried to smear his whole thing.
Yes.
And they labeled him not smart.
Yes.
Or articulate.
Yes.
As a part of a PR scheme to make him, to discredit him, basically. So what he did was he firstly started to raise some money through a GoFundMe, and with a colleague, or an ex-colleague, because the guy, Derek Palmer, still works at Amazon today, decided to reach out to the co-workers. So we're talking like movie stuff, approaching people at the bus stop, which takes people to the warehouse to speak to them about what his plans were. He would have bonfires going with, I read that they would have s'mores going on this barbecue as they huddled together and spoke about the future. And they invited workers to have cookouts. They had barbecues, homemade food, and so on. What then happened after all of this was a culmination of votes, which resulted in history being made. And I can't remember the numbers. It was something like 2,100 versus 1,900 workers in this factory who voted that this was going to be a unionized workforce and that Amazon was going to get the fuck out of here with their bullshit.
So what we're going to do right now...
We're going to pour one out?
We're going to pour one out. I just hope that Chris Smalls one day ever hears this podcast. And I want him to know that this little glass, well, this quite large glass, of Havana Especial.
Love it.
Is for you, my friend.
Hey.
And for all the workers of JFK 8.
Don't know.
On Staten Island. Where do we even begin? Like you said, this is...
history, baby.
This is movie shit. This guy was essentially fired for protesting against working conditions.
Only in America.
During the pandemic. There had been multiple instances of Amazon forcing people to come into work, displaying symptoms. So the very fact that they fired him on that bullshit excuse was totally ridiculous. They spent something around $4 million on consultants trying to fight this entire process. As you said, they smeared him. They actually got him arrested.
Yeah, I heard that.
They got him arrested for giving out food. They were doing cookouts during the workday because so many fucking people who work at that warehouse still can't afford food after working full-time for Amazon. And so they kind of view that as a turning point in the protest that got a lot more engagement on the floor. On the floor itself, Amazon were sending union busters. They were sending lawyers and consultants to try and spread fake information and sway potential voters who were eligible to take part in the poll. It's all massively backfired. 50 other buildings and warehouses have already reached out to Smalls to help organise. Another building just across the road from JFK 8 actually has a vote already scheduled for April.
Hey!
And a separate group of Amazon Fresh employees have already voted to unionise and are moving forward.
How do you feel about that Amazon Fresh shit, by the way?
I really don't like that there's a shop in Dalston.
Oh, is there one in Dalston?
There's one in Dalston.
But
and that's haram.
How do you feel about the concept of it? Like, you go in, you see what's on the shelves, you pack it in your bags, and literally walk out the store.
It does it all for you.
And it does it all for you. You get home and there's already a receipt in your inbox because it's all scanned and super tech. How do you feel about that shit?
My natural instinct is that it's bad for labour, right?
Yeah.
This is just replacing jobs. It's unnecessarily replacing jobs.
I even feel a way when it's like self-service.
I don't like doing it.
At a Boots.
I don't like doing it, you know? I don't like doing
it. There's barely anyone. Like, it's literally like if there's space for like 8 tills at a store, 7 of them will be self-service, and it'll be the smallest little kiosk that you could potentially pay for some stuff with a person.
Which is fucked.
Like, it's crazy.
Hire fucking people back, man. Like, these companies are just... Anyway, this is why I feel no fucking sympathy for them, that they're getting unionised again. Hold on, I'm going to take a sip for Chris Smalls.
Okay.
Very good. Oh, we're celebrating. There was an effort in Alabama which failed, and I was listening to an interview where Chris Smalls went into it. The entire reason for the success of this particular movement and why JFK 8 worked, where the Alabama effort didn't, is because this was an entirely floor-led grassroots movement. There was a coordinated campaign inside and outside the warehouse, as he describes it, where, having been sacked by Amazon, he dedicated his time to creating the Amazon Labor Union. And in coordination with people who are still employed, garnered support. There were worker committees on the floor. And that is really the only organic way to organize. It's about people standing firm and being militant together. And that resolution is what grounds success. There are ultimately always going to be more workers than there are management. And it is the job of management to convince workers that they aren't united. But if they stand together, they do achieve great things. Other companies, this actually made me laugh when I read this. Other companies apparently feel threatened by Amazon's defeat, with Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz saying the company is, quote, being assaulted in many ways by the threat of unionization. Deep irony that a company who has fired people for threatening to unionize, which is illegal in the US, by the way, feels assaulted is as sweet as one of their very overpriced mockers that I get most morning. Amazon's issued some super pissy statement insinuating election interference, which was fucking jokes. Because
Do you know how desperate you have to be to be like
they did
these
a Trump.
men who did a grassroots?
They did a Trump.
Yeah,
they did a stop the count, right? But the people who they insinuated, right? People they insinuated were interfering with the vote was the National Labour Relations Board. For those who don't know, the National Labour Relations Board is the fucking US government. They literally tried to pretend that the US government, whose defense infrastructure Amazon supports, had somehow swayed a union vote against Amazon. Like, it's just obscene. It's obscene, having already spent £4 million to bust this effort, right? As you said, they targeted this guy. The company lawyers said that he wasn't smart or articulate. They actually forced workers, famously, to work through a tornado in downstate Illinois that killed 6 people. That created a bit of buzz online because there were numerous truckers and drivers who uploaded their texts to Twitter via a journalist called Ken Klippenstein who works for The Intercept, where they had complained that conditions weren't safe, the trucks weren't driving properly on the road, they could see very strong winds on highways, and Amazon were basically just telling them, get the fuck on with it, right? Get the fuck on with it. And so it's this like longer term declining in working standards that's finally pushed people over the edge. But there's plenty of reports that conditions at Amazon have been awful from day. There were these stories last year of people taking pisses on the floor and in bottles, just to be able to keep up with quotas. In the same interview that I'd heard, Chris Moore said that he used to tell new staff to join the gym because you're working something like a 16-hour day, including commuting to Staten Island. A lot of the staff lived in New Jersey.
Staten Island is not pretty as well.
It's not easy to get to.
It's not easy to get to, especially if you live on the other side of New York. It's a ferry journey. It's grim.
And then buses and that, right? So that commute. And then essentially you're doing calisthenics for like 12 hours a day on your shift, lugging shit around constantly. It's intensive footwork. There's plenty stories of intensive work. But ultimately, fuck Amazon, join a union. And if you work anywhere else, join a union. Because if Amazon can be union busted, anyone can be union busted.
And this brings me on to my next question. With all that being said, Juan, will you be returning your Amazon Prime subscription anytime soon? Your answer has taken too long.
No, I won't. But that's not the point.
It's very much the point too.
It's a point.
It is very much the point.
It's a point. Look, if
you have to live your raps, my G. You have to live your raps.
Do you know what? I have actually been doing more independent shopping as of late.
What does that mean? So you go into like Amazon and then you pick the independent seller instead of like...
No. I buy my shower gel in shop rather than get it delivered off Amazon. It's still Molten Brown. It smells nice. Don't hate me. But anyway, no, like if Amazon
it just shows how like we ain't shit. We really ain't shit. Like as people, we just ain't shit.
What it does show...
put convenience over all of this humanitarian shit. Shout out Chris Moore.
Shout out Derek Palmer. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Ultimately, we're still fucking you over with our subscriptions, buddies. So, sorry.
But this is the point. It is our consumer demand that gives these people jobs. And that's important.
Wow.
Right?
Circle of life chat. Okay.
But this is how... But unfortunately, we live in a capitalist system. And this is how capitalism works, is that we all need the money to keep spinning. So if we don't shop on Amazon, these people don't have jobs. And unfortunately, it's just the fact that large employers employ at scale. They give more jobs to more people than small businesses do. But what's important is that we, to an extent where we can, vote with our wallet and we lobby and we support people like Chris Moore who transform Amazon or who force them into supporting labor rights.
We should probably not have Amazon Prime subscriptions because it is probably this emphasis on needing everything today, tomorrow, that is driving.
No,
it is very much...
I disagree.
There's a massive correlation between us needing everything now and the fact that a lot of these workers aren't getting paid what they want.
No, I disagree.
And that doesn't necessarily just relate to Amazon, but like companies in general who, as a result of the Amazon effect, ultimately lose customers because as soon as you see that like £4.99 delivery charge, will go to an Amazon with their Prime subscription.
Sure.
So if anything, we should probably take the power back by not having as many Amazon Prime subscriptions and going to independent people or suppliers who can pay their staff based on the fact that we are paying for delivery costs. But that's another debate.
I just need to say before we move on, I disagree, and I disagree strongly. We should support small businesses, and that's true. But our shopping...
I don't know how you can disagree with that.
So I'll tell you, but our shopping at large businesses is not what legislates these companies being allowed to get away with murder. We are not government, and we're not in charge of policy. What we need to do is
but we do
support.
have some power.
We do,
Yeah.
but what we should do is be supporting people like Chris Smalls who are advocating for labour rights. Now, if Amazon was forced, for example, to only allow people to work for 8 hours a day rather than for 12, they'd need to hire 50% more people, and that's good for the economy because you have more people in work. Fewer people on benefits, more people paying tax. It's good for the economy. Unions are good for the economy, and labour rights are good for the economy. And that is the message that we need to send. It's not about attacking people for having Amazon Prime. It's about forcing these fucking companies to treat workers just more than vassals of economic production.
I hear you. So I was talking about being in Poland last week. And one thing I forgot to mention was an encounter I had at a bar. Don't know why I'm bringing it up now, but I just came to my mind. I just want to get your thoughts. So I went up to the bar. We're at a jazz club.
Okay.
And went to the bar with my colleagues, and I got the round in.
That'll be a first.
And there was a guy behind the bar, blonde, fairly tall, ponytail. And I was like, yeah, gonna get my regular whiskey, get a couple gin and tonics. I did the order. And he gave me my order, and I paid. I tried to pay. Paid with the American Express, right? Didn't work. And then he was like, yeah, no Amex. I was like, cool. MasterCard, here you go. Paid on MasterCard. Didn't work. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Broke season.
And then my colleague came over and was like, just try this card. Just tapped it. It worked. And I looked at the guy and I was like, I'm sorry, bro. I don't know what happened. Then I got a pat on the shoulder by some girl next to me at the bar. And she was like, I'm sorry, but I can't have you calling my wife bro. And I was like, huh? She was like, yeah, that's my wife. And I was like, who's your wife? And she was like, the person you just called bro. And I was like, what? The barman? That's my wife. Right. And I was like, my bad. And she's like, yeah, no, I know that you probably didn't know, but it really triggers me that you called my wife bro. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm one of the good guys, so school me, please.
Yeah.
Your wife was born as a what? And she was like, yeah, my wife was born as a man. She called it an AMAB, assigned male at birth, which is an education for me. But we can't have you calling her, bro. And I was like, and then I turned to the wife and I was like, I'm sorry, bro. I was drunk. So I accidentally said bro again. Then I was like, wifey, I don't know. What am I meant to say? I don't know your name. And she was like, yeah, that's cool.
Don't do the voice.
But it was deep. What do you mean? It was a deep voice. It was a deep voice. And yeah.
Was that your first interaction with the trans community?
Wasn't trans. It was man, assigned male at birth,
right?
Who identifies as a woman, who is married to another woman,
right?
And I offended the woman by calling her.
You offended the woman's wife
by calling her wife bro.
Complex,
fam. So segue. Boris Johnson has said that he does not think that biological males should be competing in female sporting events, after the fallout from his decision not to ban conversion practices for people questioning their gender. On Wednesday, he said this issue wasn't something he has thought about or thought he would have to consider in great detail. Said that women should have spaces in hospitals, prisons, and changing rooms which were dedicated to women, and then said that's as far as his thinking has developed on this issue. This is a good out, by the way. This is a good way to protect himself. That's as far as my thinking has developed on this issue. And if that puts me in conflict with some others, then we have to work it all out.
Yes.
First things first, the decision to not ban conversion therapy is a mad one.
Fucked. So fucked.
From this government, one of many mad ones. But I actually just wanted to open this up a little bit. What are your views on like transgender women taking part in women athletics? We had that recent case of Leah Thomas, and Leah Thomas was this swimmer. So when she was a man, she was born a man, and she competed at the University of Pennsylvania men's swimming team for 3 seasons. Wasn't good enough to sort of hit any records. And then as she started the process of hormonal treatments, her times in these swimming races began to decrease even more. And then last month, she entered a women's competition and set 4 school records in a single meet. So this has obviously caused a great deal of uproar and ties in quite nicely with what Boriss has been cracking on about in the last couple of days. What's your view on this whole thing? Tricky, but we got to do it. And you know what we're gonna do here at This Could End Terribly. We're gonna talk about it ourselves. We may get it wrong, but you know what we're gonna do. We're gonna get people on who can come in and speak about it even more intellectually than we can, right?
At some point. Look, I just think this is much ado about nothing, honestly. And this is a point and a discussion that I've had 100 times, that centering anti-trans propaganda is a key facet of fascist propaganda. Creating a narrative of a trans and or LGBTQ plus takeover is absolutely inherent to the attack on the nuclear family society that fascist ideology needs to build. And that's why we're seeing these increased attacks on transgender people, and especially in transgender sport, because it's an easy thing for people to get worked up about.
But yes, agreed. But what is your view on this? Should transgender women be allowed to compete in women's athletics? Now, the rule at the moment is that I think there's a certain amount of nanomole in terms of the amount of testosterone that you are allowed to have in your body as a transgender, which was a law that came in 2019, the World Athletics Agency or whatever that's called. The issue that we have with Leah Thomas in particular is that she, even after 2.5 years of hormonal treatment, had this massive advantage. Now, it caused upset because people ultimately thought it wasn't fair. Trans women apparently, according to the frameworks and as it's set up right now, have to be able to prove that they can demonstrate that they have lost their sex-linked male puberty advantage prior to competition in the women's category. Because the reality is that when males go through puberty, they get taller, greater muscle and bone mass, larger heart, larger lung capacity relative to your size, etc., etc., etc. So this is why this was put into place.
Yeah.
So I did a bit of digging in this, and there are some stats which are quite, I guess, make arguments against why trans women should compete with cisgender women. It was something like the average differential in men and women's standard times for championship qualification is like 11.4%, which means that the women's times are 11% slower than men's qualification times. Now, that might not seem like a great deal, right? 10 or 11% doesn't seem like a great deal. But when you, exactly.
At elite level, yeah.
Exactly. But at elite level, if you're talking about like Michael Phelps, they looked at him when he won his awards in 2004, and he had a 0.08% advantage over the person who came in silver.
Yeah, I mean, 11's bonkers, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So clearly, that would mean that Michael Phelps would have a 12.6% advantage over an Olympic gold swimming woman.
Right.
But I wanted to get your view before we talk about how we maneuver this, because, let's get your view first.
I just think it's such a bullshit argument for so many reasons, right? Like, if people think that there's some kind of genuine upside for men deciding to become women so that they can compete in women's sport, maybe the first thing we should do is address the pay gap in sports. And then maybe there might be some reasonable argument as to why men will fake being women, because they can earn the same amount of money if they just go and beat people who are born naturally slower than them.
Not everyone does it for money, though.
So then what else are they doing it for? What else are they doing it for?
Not everyone does it for money.
But then it's not really accomplishment because you're cheating, right? So this is why this is a bullshit argument.
People cheat, bro. People cheat.
It's a bullshit argument.
Look at Russia as a country. Look at Russia as a country.
That's doping, right? That's doping. It's kind of different.
No,
like
it's cheating.
reassigning your fucking gender and moving your testosterone levels down.
Let's not do the dance. There's cheating that takes place at all levels of sport.
If anyone is able to provide me an example of a transgender athlete who genuinely doesn't believe that they were either trapped in the wrong body at birth, or have, if someone can provide me an example of an athlete who hasn't genuinely transitioned and is competing, I might be willing to engage in this argument. That there is some kind of malice to allowing transgender women to compete in women's sport.
But I think you're.
Let me make a point.
Before you move on, nobody's saying that there's malice intent.
But there's an implication that it's unfair.
Nobody's saying that there's a malicious intent.
But it's unfair is the point you're making.
But it can be unfair. It can be. You can have an unfair advantage based on things that are not in your control.
Right,
Like,
it's
that needs to be made clear, right?
It's fucking unfair that Usain Bolt's way quicker than I am. He was just born that way. In the same way that transgender women...
To borrow one of your quotes,
False
that
equivalent.
is a false equivalence.
Well, not necessarily, right?
It 100% is.
But we're dealing with the physical capacity that we're dealt with at birth, which is within the context of all the other aspects of us that are given to us and defined at birth. But before we get into this kind of existential argument, materially speaking, within the context of women's swimming, which is the Leah Thomas example that you raised, all my fellow Olympic heads will know Michael Phelps, and you've probably seen Michael Phelps, Ryan Lochte. Who's the English brother who always cleans up for us?
I don't know swimmers, bro.
There's a guy. We've got a guy.
I know. He's got tattoos and he's ginger or some shit.
Yeah, then he shaved it off.
Bro, I know ginger's male or female. It's quite a disease.
It's quite
a disease.
Quite sus. Anyway, we got swimmers. But people who watch the Olympic swimming will also know the name Katie Ledecky. She is the women's Michael Phelps, and she's American. And she's fucking sick. She happens to do the same event as Leah Thomas. Now, I'm very pleased that you unsolicited raised this 11% margin that you speak of. And I agree with you. We're both sports nerds, football nerds in particular. The concept of someone having 11% margin in the Champions League final, for example, like it's obscene, yeah?
Of course.
You're not even in a game.
Yeah.
Like that's how different it is. However, to quote essentially sports.com, Katie Ledecky currently holds the world record in women's 500-yard freestyle at 4 minutes, 24 seconds. Leah Thomas put in a spectacular performance. Clocked a time of 4 minutes, 33 seconds.
Okay.
She's so fucking far off elite level women's sports. This is not even an argument worth happening. And this is consistently, hold on.
Isn't an elite.
No, hold
She's
on.
not
But
elite,
it is.
She's not elite.
That's the fucking point.
No, that's not the point.
Every time that we see these examples of people getting angry about transgender women competing in women's sport, it's at something like a fucking regional university level. None of these people that this transgender woman is supposedly beating is going to go on and becoming an Olympic champion. It's like complaining that there's some transgender. There was someone who was assigned a woman at birth who becomes a fellow that enters my male sewing competition. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Unless you're really at the elite level, who gives a shit?
What about
these people have suffered?
Semenya then?
That's a very different example. I'm happy you raised it, and I'm going to come on to it. But the point I want to make about Leah Thomas, is that this woman, presumably, has suffered enough. She has suffered enough, right? She was born as a male. She felt so uncomfortable about her gender that she decided to transition. And it's the same thing. Can you imagine the horror of feeling like you were trapped in the wrong gender from birth?
No,
then
but that's
finally,
not the issue
hold on,
here. That's not the
finally
issue.
feeling the relief of being able to reassign yourself. Thank God to medical science that's available. You then want to go compete at your sport, and you're then told that you are being unfair to women when you're not even near the elite level. It's like complaining about people playing Sunday League football. It's fucking stupid.
I actually don't feel as strongly about this as you do. So I'm literally just trying to have a very objective, cards out on the table, like conversation. You said a lot, which I don't necessarily agree with, because again, I can't help but feel as though you are kind of getting too involved on the emotional side of things. Yes, we know that Leah Thomas has probably suffered a great deal due to her unique situation. But I'm talking about the advantage that she has in particular sections. In this case, it's like university level school swimming.
Who gives a shit? That's my point.
You don't give a shit, but this is a conversation for a reason. Sure. You can't have
there is a reason it's a conversation. It's not the reason that you're driving at. No one gives a shit. In 5 years, no one will remember these fucking swimmers at university.
People do give a shit. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because people are like, well, why doesn't somebody who does, I don't know, 180 kg in the weightlifting just drop into the 120 category and just fuck it up?
A male weightlifter, the argument is that you think a successful male weightlifter is going to transition to become a woman to become a female weightlifter.
No. The point I'm trying to make is that there needs to be some sort of consideration of what constitutes unfair advantages in any sport, right? If it's a team sport like football or so on and so forth, that's when you go to the individual level, who's on drugs, who's not, da-da-da-da-da. But in situations like this, where it is a game of fine margins and it's individual sports, there has to be a consideration for what is fair and what is not fair.
And there is, and that's why you have these testosterone
and yes,
measurements.
From a framework perspective, yes. But one of the things about the frameworks is that they're not generally consistent across all levels of sport. So elite level to university level, it's kind of different. I read something somewhere that you've got to be doing this hormonal treatment for like 3 years. Yep. Leah Thomas, I think, was only doing it for 2.5 years. So she hasn't actually finished the course of hormonal treatment. So based on that alone, she's at an advantage. Sure, so give it another 6 months and she may not even be as quick as she is now.
But how do you address this, the fact that at 2.5 years of hormonal treatment, she is head and shoulders above her peers?
But she's not. We just established she's 11 seconds behind the world record holder.
Okay, but you're comparing a university swimmer to an elite Olympian.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is in the context of her showing up to a university swimming competition and setting 4 world records in a matter of an hour.
Whatever meets records.
Like 4, whatever it was. Stop nitpicking. Right? That does spark a conversation, naturally.
Okay. So the thing about this whole debate is that there is an implication that some transgender person is going to come and become the dominant female athlete.
I think that's at the root of it for many people.
There's absolutely no evidence that has happened or is anywhere near happening in any sport. Think of the number of women athletes that there are, and the number of transgender athletes. It's such an extreme minority. You can't say that like
we've got generations of data behind this, bro. You can't say it like that. Like, don't lead people on. There's not generations of data.
But that is exactly the argument that I'm making. There's such a small sample at present, that the entire framing of this argument as if it's an imminent problem, that women's sport is under threat from a tiny, tiny number of transgender athletes who perform nowhere near the elite level, it's bonkers.
Well,
it's
totally bonkers. I read something that said like the best evidence out there suggests that significant differences between transgender, cisgender remain even after 3 years of hormonal treatment. So we don't actually know from a data perspective, and more around your point as well. We don't have enough data based on where we are now and based on the fact that transgender athletes are more and more occurring. We don't have enough data to really make certain conclusions. But
what we can conclude is that the most successful transgender woman still absolutely nowhere near the elite level. So maybe you can have some sympathy that some women feel like their nose has been put out of place because someone has reassigned, and given that they used to be a male, has some advantages to them. But there's no evidence whatsoever that women's sport en masse, where it really matters at the top level, is going to be impacted, right? And if the implication is that, hold on. Sorry, I need to make this one point. There's an implication that basically men will reassign to be women for a cheap win.
That's not what's being said. Nobody has said that at all. Nobody has said that at all.
That's the framing of the argument.
No, it's not. It's not at all. I think that's how you've taken it.
There's a natural advantage.
Nobody is saying.
There's a natural advantage of being born a man and competing against women.
Bro, you are conflating two things. You can have a desire to change your gender. If you feel like you've been living in the wrong skin, whatever it may be, you have the right to change your gender. But in changing your gender, especially given when you change your gender, that naturally, whether it's in your control or not, gives you an advantage over cisgender women. I started this by saying, if you do it after puberty, 3 years worth of hormonal treatment, as apparently it says in this thing I read, isn't actually closing the gap between you and a cisgender woman. So naturally, as a result of when you transitioned, you have an advantage in anything to do with sports over cisgender women. Like that's just it. I'm not conflating the emotional side with the medical side at all. You seem to think that I'm saying, man decides he's shit, so he's going to turn into a woman to beat all the women.
That's what
lots. I know a rapper, by the way, who identified as a woman and broke a Guinness World Record for like a deadlift on weights, uploaded it to Twitter, and honestly, it was the ignition of his career. He's now done Shapiro, Rogan, Candace Owens, and all this stuff. He's become like a fucking right-wing darling, and it's quite crazy. But that's a separate. It's not someone being a dickhead. I saw that one. Yeah, it's not someone being a dickhead like that. This is ultimately saying that irrespective of the emotional side of this, there is always going to be an advantage based on when you decide to change.
Yeah,
and I think there's value in that argument.
Oh, God.
I don't know. And by the way, I don't feel a strong way. Where I was trying to go was like, how do we solve this? Because do you have a trans category? Like, how do you promote inclusion and not have this massive line in the sand if transgender athletes are not in the same category as cisgender athletes.
Yeah, that one's...
like, would the trans community be happy with a trans category at the Olympics? It's a tricky one. That's kind of where I was trying to lead it to.
Yeah.
What do you think?
That one's difficult, and I feel like I'm not qualified to comment. I feel like Dave Chappelle should really do the canvassing for that conversation. It would be by definition not inclusionary.
Yeah,
it would be by definition
100%
exclusionary to separate them from women's sport. Where I think honestly, like I get it. Fine, if you're playing casual sport and you feel like, if you're playing netball on a Monday with the girls in Clapham and someone who used to be a man turns up and starts dominating your little Tuesday league, then you might feel a way about it. To me, that's like, I think you can maybe start to just on a societal level, given that it's friendly netball on a Tuesday in Clapham, make some accommodation for someone who's genuinely reassigned and trying to participate with other women. Where I think it really is a problem, and where I think that the narrative of this debate in the media is led, is that the integrity of elite women's sport is at threat. And this, the entire argument that I've been trying to make during this whole segment, and where that is relevant, where the closest data point we have to relevancy is someone like Caster Semenya. And there was a whole furore
we saw
years and years ago.
What they did to her.
She was dragged through the mud. And she was a woman. She identifies as a woman. She was born as a woman.
Intersex.
Born intersex, but very much identified as a woman.
Yeah.
A naturally extremely gifted athlete, and they dragged her. They dragged her horrendously. And actually, in the end, the IAAF concluded that her medals could stand and her Olympic records and etc. were all kosher.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what the point. That's my view on this argument is. Unfortunately, like below the elite level, I don't give a shit. I honestly don't care.
Okay, so I think that's why your argument makes a great deal of sense now that you've said that. But my point with this, and we can kind of wrap up on this, is that the reason why there is concern at that level is because that is the breeding ground for what we then see at the Olympics. So clearly at the root of where the talent sits, that's where the concerns are going to start.
So that's why I disagree with you.
To come out.
As you know, as someone we both played football to a good level when we were younger, yeah? We both kicked ball at school and at good level clubs when we were kids, yeah?
Yeah.
By the time you're 14, 15, you know who's going to academy.
Right.
They're gone already.
Okay.
They're gone, right? By the time you're playing, but if you're still actually swimming university level, if you're kicking ball at Imperial at 21, 22, you're not going to be an elite level footballer.
Don't know. I probably still could have done a team. I probably still could have done a team. Probably still could.
It's just not going to happen, right? Like sport at the elite level is so high performance that by the time you're even old enough to decide that you want to reassign gender, you're gone. You're clear.
Yeah.
And they might, and in the same way that we need to have a conversation about footballers who later come out as gay, there will be footballers, there will be a male footballer one day who wants to reassign their gender and to become a woman. We're probably 20, 30 years off that debate, given that we don't even have a gay footballer, let alone a transgender one, right? But the point is that ultimately, unless we're talking about sport at the elite level, this is just culture wars bullshit. And the conversation should be framed within the culture wars bullshit. If you really care about women's sport, then advocate for shit like equal pay and advocate for shit like equal coverage. And then once we settle that, we can have a debate about access at the elite level. But until there are actually transgender men competing against women at the elite level and not just at this social level, I'm sorry, it's not fucking relevant. It's culture wars bullshit. You don't care about sports.
Okay, I disagree with that because I do see a link between the grassroots, so to speak, and the elite level. They are intrinsically linked. One is a breeding ground for what we then see at the games. But you make a fair point. I really, really, really want to get somebody from the trans community on to speak about this. I think this would be fucking dope. I've got a couple of people in mind who we could potentially bring on. But yeah, we'll bring that on. I want to talk about a little bit of plagiarism.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think the unpopular opinion in this whole Ed Sheeran thing that's going on is that he actually might have...
Another one of your ginger fetishes.
Yeah. He might have... No, to be honest. He might have actually copied this brother. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Ed Sheeran has just won a court case against a dude called Sammy Switch, an artist, who claims that Ed plagiarized a little bit of his song Oh My, for Ed Sheeran's smash Shape of You, which, by the way, I never liked.
No?
Never liked.
I feel like that's racist.
It might be. I personally think that Sammy Switch might have a point. But I'm going to allow you guys to make that call yourself. Please listen. This sounds very similar.
The word's the exact same.
Yeah.
It's not even it's like they've gone ooh, ooh, ooh,
But they're also delivered the same as well. Now, Ed won the court case and he was all high and mighty when he won. To be fair, that's a bit harsh. He wasn't as high and mighty. He just warned that pop stars should not be allowed to become easy targets for copyright claims. And saying that he hopes this ruling means that in the future, baseless claims like this can be avoided. In fact, I'm going to play what he said.
Hey guys, me, Johnny and Steve have made a joint statement that will be press released on the outcome of this case, but I wanted to make a small video to talk about it a bit because I've not really been able to say anything whilst it's been going on. Whilst we're obviously happy with the result, I feel like claims like this are way too common now and have become a culture where a claim is made with the idea that a settlement will be cheaper than taking it to court, even if there's no base for the claim.
There's a base.
It's really damaging to the songwriting industry.
There's
only so
There's a
many
strong
notes
base.
and
There's
very
more
few
bass than in
chords
the song
used in
itself.
Pop music. Coincidence is bound to happen if 60,000 songs are being released every day on Spotify. That's 22 million songs a year, and there's only 12 notes that are available.
Oh, maths.
I don't want to take anything away from the pain and hurt suffered from both sides of this case, but I just want to say I'm not an entity. I'm not a corporation. I'm a human being.
Yes.
I'm a father. I'm a husband.
Yes.
I'm a son. Lawsuits
He drew for it.
are
King
not a pleasant
shit.
experience. And I hope with this ruling, it means in the future, baseless claims like this can be avoided. This really does have to end. Me, Johnny, and Steve are very grateful for all the support sent to us by fellow songwriters.
I'm not
over
the Johnny
last
in
few
this,
weeks.
just FYI.
Hopefully, we can all get back to writing songs rather than having to prove that we can write them. Thank you.
No, I'm not going to lie. Fuck you, Ed Sheeran, man.
Look,
No, fuck you. Sorry. Fuck you.
I'm a part-time rapper. I've made quite a few amazing songs in my time, if I do say so myself. So I understand like the creative process very, very much. And I know how easy it is when you're lost for inspiration, especially when you need a song not to fail, to draw inspiration from things that you listen to. And I also am aware that artists like Ed Sheeran have teams that have loads of people sending music to them all the time. Like, check this out, you know, I could be signed to your label, or da-da-da-da-da. Or even, check this out, like I'm a songwriter, you can take this, just pay me, I could be on the song credits. I understand it all. So from a independent artist perspective, I'm actually with Sammy Switch on this, bro.
100%.
I think Ed Sheeran might have bit his shit.
Bro, he's a prick, bruv. Much like Rich, I too write poetry about men that I don't like. And as a fellow creative, it's so obviously fucking clear that he's teeth. The melody, the words, the whole thing, right? And it's double egregious.
Yeah.
It's double egregious considering Ed's entire come up story, where he is the kid that used to busk on the street of Reading, made friends with Jamal Edwards, may he rest in peace. Got on to SBTV, and that was his segue through the grassroots of music. Through the rap community did he achieve mega stardom, and now to T for melody on one of his most famous songs and not even pay the guy for it, and then ruin him with legal bills when he's got more than enough money to cover it 50 times over. Ed, man, just grow up and just handle this one, please.
Poor Sammy Chokri, aka Sammy Switch. He's got all the views on his YouTube video as a result of this, 2.1 million in fact, but those views are not really going to equate to the £1 million minimum that he's going to have to spend and pay as a result of losing this court case.
Horrendous.
I really, really tried to see Ed's side of this as the artist, you know, but they're both artists, and I think we need to consider both sides deeply. This isn't a case, as Johnny said pre-recording, this isn't a case of like the Marvin Gaye, Robin Thicke,
he teethed
Blurred
that.
Lines thing.
He teethed that.
Where the whole vibe was taken. The whole thing, basically.
The whole thing.
This is very different. It's very, very specific. And the reality is that like it's probably seemed at the time like the perfect crime. Oh, no one's going to hear this Sammy Switch song if I just...
No one knows who the fuck this guy is.
Yeah, if I just nab this little thing for this smash song, I'm going to get it. I'm gonna hit the top of the charts because I'm Ed Sheeran. So yeah, I feel uncomfortable about this. I feel like Ed has done him dirty, and solidarity with Sammy Chokri.
No, man, it's so bleak.
I don't want to laugh, but fucking hell, what can you do?
It's so bleak.
It's bad, man.
Get him on the pod.
We could do that.
Yeah.
I think we're pretty much done. We can talk about the Channel 4 privatization, but we'll let that flesh out because it hasn't quite happened yet. We're big Channel 4 viewers.
Protect phone shop
in this house. We need to protect that thing. It's given us too much.
Protect Garth Marenghi's dark place.
Kathy Newman and your awkward blonde curls. Don't want you to be forced to the dark side as a result of this. So protect Channel 4. Jon Snow clearly knew Wagwan.
Yeah.
And here we are. Next, we have... Oh, actually, no. Let's do a shout out. Black women doing amazing things.
Oh, a small one.
The US Supreme Court is to include black female justice for the first time in 233 years.
Yes.
After it confirmed Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson to the 9-member branch. 3 Republicans crossed that aisle to seal her appointment by a vote of 53 to 47. This is a lifetime job, if you're unaware. And this will see her on the bench for decades.
Yes.
But unfortunately, isn't really going to shift a great deal in terms of the justice system in America, because she's going to be one of 3 Democrats on a 9-seat bench, which has 6 Republicans on it. So I just want to start by saying it was a beautiful thing that Biden said, I'm going to get a black woman as a Supreme Court justice. It was even more beautiful that the lovely Kamala Harris was the person who announced it.
God.
Yeah.
Fucking useless.
And good luck to Ketanji. I'm trying to remove myself from as much US politics as I can post-Trump. I think I've deserved a break. So I just want to say, big up that black woman. And it's just amazing to see yet another story of black people being the first to do something very fucking major.
I will say a word of caution in that Ketanji Brown is the first black woman on the Supreme Court.
What did I say?
She's not the first black person.
Oh.
There is a special Clarence Thomas who serves on the bench of the Supreme Court.
Why are you doing that? Like, I was just celebrating women and you're bringing the patriarchy into this, Johnny boy.
Arguably the biggest dickhead on the entire bench.
Yeah, but still on the patriarchy chat, bro. Let's just celebrate women.
Oh, we're celebrating Ketanji.
Cool.
Just the idea that this is a significant moment for the black legal system itself needs to be moderated until Clarence Thomas is removed from the bench, because he's a fucking clown.
Yeah.
He's a fucking clown.
Yeah. But good luck to her. And just good luck to Kamala and everything she does.
No, a deplorable woman. Honestly, she's fucking hopeless. Have you ever seen her deliver a press conference?
Can you watch your mouth?
She's honestly useless.
Can you watch your mouth?
She is going to be the reason Trump is going to win in 2024.
Can you watch your mouth?
Trump's going to win in 2024. Daddy Trump's coming back, and Elon owns Twitter, so it's
Daddy.
Daddy Trump's coming back.
Don't call him Daddy.
And Elon's going to let him back on Twitter now that he owns it. So
that's disgusting.
What's up?
We now have relationship advice brought to you by Juan Vivaz.
Okay.
Wait.
What do you mean wait, bruv?
Wait.
What do you mean wait?
Big news incoming.
It can't be bigger than relationship advice, bruv.
Bigger than the relationships.
This better be good, bruv.
The Academy Awards has banned Will Smith from future Oscars for 10 years.
No, say wallahi. Say wallahi. Say wallahi.
The alerts are alerting. Will Smith has been banned from the Oscars gala and other Academy events for 10 years.
Are you joking?
After he slapped
What, is
Chris
this just come
Rock.
out now?
This has just happened. This is literally just broken 11 minutes ago.
What the fuck?
Oh, and I need some time. I need some time to register
We ain't got time.
this.
We ain't got time. Sorry, 10
all
years.
right.
Hold on. No, sorry.
All
Let me
right.
just say, first reaction is, bruv, you don't even get 10 years for slapping a guy in public anywhere, bruv. That's not a sentence. How can you
this
ban
is
man for
wild.
10 years for anything?
In a statement, the Academy said the 94th Oscars was overshadowed by the unacceptable and harmful behavior we saw Mr. Smith exhibit on stage. They said they did not adequately address the situation in the room as it was unprepared for the unprecedented, and it apologized. They thanked Rock for maintaining his composure under extraordinary circumstances, and it said banning Smith was aimed at protecting performers and guests and restoring trust in the Academy. Fucking mad.
Listen, on the last episode, we discussed the need for the black community to reclaim agency over its creative award process. On this episode, we discussed the power.
Visionaries.
We discussed the power of Chris Smalls organizing at a grassroots level to reclaim power over the agencies that define success and capital. It is time. It's time. You cannot keep playing to this Oscars bullshit. This
He deserved the ban,
bullshit.
though. He deserved the ban.
Doesn't
though.
deserve a ban.
He deserved the ban. Though.
No.
You can't just be doing that, Johnny.
You
boy.
can, but it's the only thing that saved the fucking Oscars. Nobody was watching this shit on TV.
No, you're not.
The thing was dead
Bro,
in the ratings,
can
bro.
you open your third eye, my G? Like Chris Rock got mollywopped up there, bro. That's not right.
He took a little slap.
It's not right.
He took a little slap. He took a slap for the Oscars. He did it for. No one was ever going to watch this shit again. Do you know how dead the ratings are? They cut categories from broadcast because no one gives a shit anymore. Will Smith just about saved the Oscars, and now they're going to ban him. Hey, who do you think's watching this shit next year? Let's be real. The only thing I would have watched for next year is to see who Will Smith slaps.
He's not going to be there for 10 years.
Oh.
I don't know if this actually means he can't be nominated. It looks like he can still be nominated, but he just can't show up to the awards.
So slapping a guy and collecting your award is gang. But can you imagine winning an Oscar and being banned so that you can't collect it?
Yeah, that's wild.
That's real gang shit.
That was basically Ye at the Grammys. He ended up winning a couple of the awards for the shows that he couldn't show up at.
Swear down.
Yeah. He won a couple. Wow, I didn't expect that. I literally just wanted to do relationship advice and then get the fuck out of here. But yeah, Will Smith has lost something else, as well as his self-esteem, ego, wife.
We need to be more pro-slapping.
Yeah.
Society needs to be more pro-slapping.
Nah, not when you're like older than 19 years old.
I disagree.
I think you can probably talk it out or just be grown-ups. Anyway, relationship advice. Take 2. What you got for me?
This one is maybe the stickiest and trickiest.
Me like sticky.
It's maybe I'm genuinely shocked, not sure how to react to it. The submitter is a woman. We're back on the female side of the fence.
We will guess the race accordingly.
My boyfriend and I have been together for a year and a half. We're very happy in our relationship. We're considering moving in together. He has a good job. We always spend a good time away on holiday. Our families get along with each other, and everything is going well.
Sounds delightful.
We are considering moving in together some point next year. We're just trying to save up enough money.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Recently, however, something that has been going on since we first met has started to bother me. Sex with him is among...
Sex with me is amazing. Is that a Rihanna song?
It might be, I don't know.
Carry on.
It's among the best I've ever had in my life.
Okay. Shout out
But
him.
whenever we have sex, he makes extremely effeminate noises.
Do we get some sound? Like, do we get some examples?
There's
sent in?
absolutely no noise.
Fuck.
There's absolutely no noise.
Oh
clips.
man, this could have been the greatest of all time.
I have tried to change the types of sex that we have, and he
So
is
let me-
fairly adventurous. Can I finish.
Can I guess what the sounds sound like? I'm really sorry to cut you off, but you can't drop that.
Well, go on then. Oh God. But he's not a fucking garage sample, bro.
He said effeminate. I don't even know what it means.
That is so fucked. That is so fucked.
Oh, carry on.
We have had different kinds of sex. We have done kink-related stuff. We have done uniforms. I have tried to be rough with him in an attempt to make him more masculine and more dominant on me. But nothing that I have done so far has stopped him making these effeminate noises. Stop it, bruv. Effeminate noises. I am a huge fan of the term ick. And I'm on the verge of being able to say, I love this man. I'm pretty sure that I do, but I use that term in the context of one day wanting to marry him as I said, our families get on very well. But although the sex is good, I cannot continue with him making these noises. I wanted to ask you guys, because I'm not sure if all men are like this.
No, we're not.
I've only been with one other partner and it didn't happen, but I'm not sure if he was different or my current boyfriend is. I'm very confused as to how I should approach it. Is this something that guys discuss? How do I ask him? How do I address it? What can I do?
Can I ask you a really personal question?
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're tapping that ass, are you a vocal brother or are you a silent but violent brother?
I'm noisy. I'm not gonna lie.
Noisy in the sense that you're a noise maker or you are a dirty talker?
I'm not really dirty talk, you know.
Okay,
That
so
I've
you're
never
just- you're just
understood.
like
I'm getting it in.
I'm like...
Are you silent but violent?
I'm a resolute motherfucker, innit?
Oh, you are?
Yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
here to work.
I just want you to... I want you to feel the diesel.
Oh my goodness. Well, lucky, I beg you never make eye contact with me and say that again,
Yeah,
bro.
my bad. If she's a fan or a frequent user of the word ick, I have to say I'm already not on her side because there is a strong
No,
correlation.
she said she doesn't like the word ick, right?
Oh, she doesn't.
She doesn't like the word ick.
I thought she said she liked the word
No,
ick.
she
and
doesn't like the word ick.
I was about to say I hate her because these
No,
are the,
no.
these are the
No,
same
she's-
people who don't think males should have podcasts.
She's come humble. She's come humble.
Okay, cool. Look, just want to answer your question.
The
dear.
first thing to say is this is not man. Then don't do this. This
It's
isn't
not.
normal. We can
That's-
bat that one out the park.
that's where I was going
You
first.
guys making effeminate noises. That's a him thing.
This is not normal. I really want to know what these effeminate sounds are because it might not be like the squeaky. It might just be like, ooh, that's kinky.
He's not that fucking Louis brother that was on telly doing ballet in the late
It could-
2000s.
all I'm saying is that there is a spread. There's a spectrum. There's a range, right?
Jesus.
My dear,
This one threw me when I saw it. I can't even lie.
it's not standard, and unfortunately, I mean, there's so many questions. Has he got a deep voice normally and then goes into effeminate mode during sex? If he already has quite a
Do you want to
high...
play Guess the Race?
Oh, she's definitely white.
Nope.
She's definitely Oyinbo. No?
Nope.
What?
They're both black.
What?
Yep.
What are my people up to? Anyway, for some reason that changes the advice I'm getting.
No, you're fucked. You're so fucked.
I don't know why, but it changes the advice I'm going to give. All right, cool. So I really want to know if this person has a high-pitched voice, generally speaking. Because if that person does have a high-pitched voice, then this is something you might have to wear forever, right? Because there's not much you can do if they've got a high-pitched voice when they're excited. Typically, people's voice and their tone goes up when they're a little bit excited. And what's more excitable than tapping that ass, right? So you might have to wear it. If it is a situation where this guy's got like a friggin' Barry White voice during the daytime, but as soon as the sun goes
Oh,
down,
no, that's fucked. That's fucked.
he turns into Pee Wee fucking Herman, then yeah.
I don't know what I know what she sounds like. I don't know what he sounds like.
Do you know what might be sick though? If she could find like one of those, she could find like a voice box that turns his voice into like auto-tune.
What, like when someone's got throat cancer? Just implant a thing so that he's going like,
It would be better. It would be better than squeaky, right?
that's fucked.
Is there like elocution, vocal training that one can go to deal with this?
Well, you want him to fuck a voice coach?
No, I want him to see a voice coach so that he can work. I guess he would have to
He's
bang
gonna
her,
have
right?
to
So
fuck-
that she
he's
can
gonna have to
test
fuck
it.
the voice
Yeah,
coach.
She would have to hear how it sounds.
We got a job to do here, brother.
this
People
is-
depend on relationship advice, you know.
this is
It's our most
tricky.
popular segment. We can't flop this.
This is
People do not
tricky.
come for the political takes. They come for this.
I don't know, man. I feel like...
You just got to tell him. I think you got to tell him.
But what is she telling him? What exactly is she telling him? Your voice sucks.
The way that you moan
yeah, but what
isn't doing it for me.
Okay, I guess that kind of works because then he has a choice, right? He can say, "This is my voice. Get used to it, or I'm out." Or he can take a leaf out of the Abiade book of tapping that ass
Oh, God.
and just be silent, but masterful strokes.
The eye contact, bro. We've known each other a long time. but that is not
No, but
necessary.
that's the only option. You can't change the guy's voice. She clearly doesn't mind his voice during the day. It's just during sex. So she's just got to tell him to shut the fuck up when he's beaten.
Or just go
Just intense eye contact.
go deeper.
Intense eye contact. Like just cock diesel and that's it.
Or no. So let me think outside
This
the
is
box.
my favorite one. I swear to God.
Let me
This
think.
is my
Let me think.
favorite one.
Let me think outside the box. So they've said that they're into kink stuff, right?
All right.
Have you ever seen Pulp Fiction?
Yes.
So you know where Marcellus Wallace gets the gag thing in the basement? Mm-hmm. Just gag your man. Just gag your man.
Now you're eye contacting me.
Just gag your man. And then he can't make these high-pitched noises because he's got a rubber ball in his mouth. Marcellus Wallace, your man.
You gotta be a sick woman to like see a guy with a gag in his mouth and get aroused by that shit. You gotta be sick in the head.
If he's hitting it from behind, she can't see.
True.
And we all know that's the closing position.
But she might be hitting it from behind, to be fair, with the gag in his
that's
mouth.
an entire different.
Yeah,
that's an entire different.
That's my worry.
Well, that's for them to figure out.
True.
Shouldn't be your worry at all. But as we all know, Doggy's the closer. And
Doggy is the closer.
Doggy is the closer. Who among us is going to lie? Who among us is going to lie? Who listening is going to lie? Don't.
Oh my God.
Get out my DMs if you're going to lie to me. Innit?
Oh my God.
But if she does,
Doggy is definitely the closer.
It's the closer.
I've never heard that expression. It's my favorite expression of all time now.
Doggy is the closer. That might even be the episode title.
Doggy is the closer. Head is the answer. Amazing.
You're done. So for like the most important moment, she can just gag him up, get him to finish it off. Bob's your uncle.
Yeah. I think he's just got to go quiet, bro. It's gags or quiet. Basically, what we're trying to say to you is, honey, is
you have to confront this one because if you want to keep this man, you have to confront it. It sounds like there's a family tie. You're going to move in together. This can't run. If it's this bad, it can't run. So you're just going to have to confront it.
I feel for him. But if he's ticking every other box, then yes, to Johnny's point, confront this. Please confront it delicately because this is still
as delicately as his pussy voice.
And there are a few things that men get a little bit funny about: dick size. White guys get funny about their shoe size. This is why they wear shoe sizes 2 or 3 sizes too big, and you can see the creases.
Facts.
And voice deepness is another one. Whether or not we can grow a full beard, whether or not the beard connects. These things you got to touch upon delicately. So please, if you're going to confront him, my dear, do it with care.
Masculinity is fragile.
Yes. But yeah, it seems as though he has to be gagged or he has to go quiet. Those are your only options. It seems as though there aren't many voice therapy options out there that don't involve him banging a voice coach. You don't want them problems. So, yeah, there are the options.
Is there something that you can eat that gives you a deeper voice? Like when you know when people got a cold, they get a deeper
you could bang
voice.
in the morning. Everyone's got deep voice in the morning.
Yeah,
bang in the morning more.
Yeah, morning sex bangs as well.
No, I hate morning sex. I'll be
Really?
honest. Bro, I hate it.
It's my favorite.
The thing just doesn't work.
Oh, for real?
Quite the same.
I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
I'm
a night owl.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a morning guy.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm an early riser.
Yeah. So, hope that helped.
Yeah. Sorry, darling.
I'm very keen to hear how this develops. If you can give us a part 2 at some point in the future. Don't leave him because he sounds amazing. You're thinking about moving in with him, meeting the fam and all of that good stuff.
The family link up thing's rare as well, you know?
Yeah.
It's actually rare that there's the whole package.
Yeah, that's lovely. This is a small problem I think you can get past. And as I say, if all else fails, the Abiade Book of Dicking dictates on page number 1.
Oh, God.
Me, I don't talk too much.
Oh,
it's just plentiful, masterful strokes.
Oh, my God. This is haram.
Keep your submissions coming in.
They'll all be handled as sensitively as this one.
New music this week. The only thing you should be listening to is Vince Staples' new album, Ramona Parks, Stole My Heart.
Yes.
Vince Staples is easily one of my favorite artists of the last decade. I hope he is yours too. This has been fantastical. Shout out everybody who's continually sending us love.
Yes. Appreciate you.
We are approaching episode 40, and the episode that we've got next week is actually not going to be news linked at all.
No.
Johnny had a really amazing idea for us to explore something that we touched upon briefly around the economy and Rishi Sunak's recent announcements around how fucked we are in this Tory government and how it links to mental health, depression. And we are going to talk at detail with two experts in the economy and psychiatry field. And it's a very, very special one. I hope you guys like. We really want to open some sort of dialogue around it. And yeah, let us know what you think. For everybody else, you know where to find us every other week, unless we surprise you, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon. Feels a bit wrong saying that now, promoting that, guys.
A little bit.
SoundCloud and YouTube.
If you're nasty.
Man like Johnny.
Bye.
Have a good weekend, sir. I am out for a couple of fucking bevies in the sun in France, buddy.
Oh yeah.
I'm going south of France, buddy. There might be some... No, to be honest, I'm a bit of an Instagram hiatus at the moment, so probably no thirst traps.
Please, no more fucking hand reaching out pictures. That was fucking obscene.
Lit. I'm lit at those.
That was obscene.
Yeah, I'm lit at those. But for everybody else, stay safe, stay warm. It's April, still not very, very warm outside. It's
Not yet.
fucking annoying. And we will be back sooner than you think. Peace!
Peace.